What is up, Force fam? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be looking at a few interesting deck lists from the past week or so of PQs. Before we get into today's video, please make sure to check out my Patreon, where we have over 100 deck lists at this point and are building a great community with giveaways and all sorts of additional content. And please make sure to like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel to grow. And make sure to sign up for the 4,500 subscriber giveaway, where I'll be giving away 3 prestige foils to 3 lucky winners. So to get into today's video, the first list is this Han2 Datavault list that I thought was really cool. I've always been a big fan of the Han Solo leaders as soon as this leader came out. And Datavault, we've been seeing Datavault everywhere, and so many decks are using Datavault now. It's just, and I think the whole 60 card thing and the consistency issues that people were worried about has been overshadowed by how good these Datavault decks have been. But this was a first place finisher with 72 players, so it's a good sample size. I really liked this list using the timely interventions, 3 of them, using the 3 confiscate as removal for upgrades. Instead, I think they're choosing to use that instead of disabling Fang Fighter, just because disabling Fang Fighter can't be used with Han's ability because it'll instantly die. A lot of 3 drops as always for a deck like this, just because you can cheat them out on turn 1. So they're essentially turn 1 plays. So the blue leader, the Cassian, Echo Base, Red 5 are all very strong choices. Couple Bright Hope as a Sentinel space. Then they're also using 3 of the Syndulla as a form of ramp, because they're not playing like Resupply or Spark of Hope. They're choosing just to be very like unit focused in this list, which is really cool. They're using the Heavy, which is an interesting card, but it makes sense because you're able to get coordinate online pretty easily in this list. So playing Heavy on curve to hit in for 6 damage is pretty cool. Also, just to play it on turn 2, and then play a couple units on your 3rd resource turn so that it does have coordinate online. I liked that he was using both the Poe Damerons as well, because that's another way to get coordinate online. Also really liked the 3 Fell the Dragon as a strong piece of removal at 6 costs in this list. He's using the Adelphi as a way to push damage, but it's also just a solid body in space. The 3 General Riken I thought was very good as well, just to be able to, pump up the Bright Hope Sentinel, but also to give other things Sentinel as a way to defend yourself. And, of course, you can cheat it out a turn earlier in this list. So that's pretty sweet. And he has a good mix of space and ground units, depending on the situation. A couple of Guerrilla Attack Pod to come in active. Also benefits from the Grit from Han Solo. The Rebellious Hammerhead, we've seen that played in a few different lists. And then the top end of Wrecker, Mace Windu, 3 Home 1s, and the 3 Crate Dragons. So I thought this list was really, really sweet. Home 1 is definitely very good in Han Solo lists as a way to get your units back and to cheat it out in your 7 resource turn. Crate Dragon, of course, is going to be your home run hitter. Your finisher that you can play out on your 8 resource turn, which you can sometimes get to earlier with Syndulla. In the sideboard, he's using a couple Salvage, the 3rd copy of Bright Hope, a couple Traitorous, the 3 Bombing Run, which is interesting. I guess for decks that go wide, that could be a problem. So you're bringing that in against Sabine. Probably taking out like Crate Dragon, bringing in Traitorous. What else would you take out against Sabine? Probably Mace Windu as well, right? Probably taking out just like a lot of the expensive stuff. I would take out like Mace Windu, Crate Dragon, Hammerhead, bring in Traitorous Bombing Run, probably Reinforcement Walker, and maybe the 3rd copy of Bright Hope for something else. But there's other decks like the Rex deck, or just low to the ground decks for Bombing Run can be really effective. But overall, I just really liked this list. I thought it looked pretty sweet and was definitely worth checking out. and clearly he had a great result. So I love the 3 Riken. That's one of my favorite cards from this list. I feel like we don't see that card played enough. This next one was a first place list. Again, Datavault. Just Datavault is everywhere. This was 54 players, so a considerable sized tournament. It was nice to see a different take on Gar Saxon, though, instead of just the typical yellow that we're used to seeing. He was using some interesting cards in here, like the Star Hopper as a smuggle card, a couple timely again. What else was interesting? The 1 copy of the TIE Vanguard, the 1 copy of Legal Authority as a way to capture a unit. Again, with Traitorous, we're seeing that being played in all these villainy Datavault decks. He plays a good amount of space units, so he's playing the Victor Leader for that reason. Playing a lot of cards that could be dual-sided, like as ground units or pilots, depending on the matchup and what he needs. A couple of Long Pike, of course, to put shields on things to boost his attack. The Ruck was interesting as well. It's a card we haven't seen that much of lately. But I just thought this was another interesting one. Using the Grand Moff Tarkin to dig for things. But yeah, it's just nice to see a different take on Gar Saxon. The only life gain he had was a couple of vigilance. Oh, and then he has the devotion in the sideboard for aggro. Okay, yeah. So good looking list. Looks like a lot of fun. This next one, Quinlan Blue, that's one of the ones I had just talked about on my off meta decks video. So it's nice to see this one have a pretty good result, getting second place in that same tournament with Gar Saxon. He's not using now. There are 2 of them in this particular list, but he's using a good amount of ways to boost damage with the Hotshot Blaster, Surprise Strike, Forces With Me, Jedi Lightsaber, digging for things with the R2-D2. But yeah, I thought it was a cool take. Pretty much just like a lot of Sentinels, some discard. He has a Spark in the sideboard. Just 1 copy of Confiscate, and then Entrenched as another way to deal with things, probably in space, and occasionally leaders, but probably just in space. Couple Bamboozle on the side as another way to deal with upgrades. But yeah, it was nice to see a different version of Quinlan being played and have good results. I've always liked blue. I think that was the first Quinlan I had tried out before Tarkentown kind of took over as the go-to base for Quinlan. So cool to see. Next one, okay, I really liked this list. 61 players, got first place. It was really cool to see, again, that was Datavault, but it was cool to see a Poe list that really maximized the use of Datavault. So they're getting the R2, the BB-8 to maximize both of those in different situations. I really liked the they hate that ship as a way to cheat out some of your space units for 3 less cost. So I think you can play Bright Hope on turn 1. You can play Radis on your 5 resource run, I guess, which is pretty sweet. And Radis is really cool in here, especially with Heroic Sacrifice being, a card that you're playing with Poe. I love that he played both Heroic Sacrifice and Eject at 3 copies each, and I liked the 3 Timely. Again, bringing in Timely since you're not using ECL. It's just just makes a lot of sense. A lot of turn 1 spaceships with Black 1, Green Squadron, Phoenix. Just you could tell this list was play tested a lot. I also, thought it was interesting that he went with the 3 Dark Saber as well. Like, if space isn't working out, you could still flip Poe and play a Dark Saber on it. So, just a really, really cool list. This is probably the list that I was most excited to play test when I first saw some of the lists from the past week. I like the Syndulla on the side again to ramp up against ramp heavy decks. The 3 Fang Fighter you're bringing in against decks that are going to use a lot of pilots or upgrades. 3 Sundari against more aggressive opponents like Sabine. Radis you're probably bringing in against more like space heavy decks or just mid range decks where you expect the game to go on longer. I would imagine that even control Radis is good because of its when defeated ability. So really, just really awesome list. So another one I thought was interesting. A little less players with 30 players, but got first place just using like a lot of restore effects with the 3 Crumb, the 3 Lauren, and then we're getting see typical things that you use in the Palpatine decks like Poggle the Lesser, a couple scanning in the main, one in the side for Han decks, 3 Confiscate for those upgrades, using the Eager and Black Sun to slow things down in space, and then you have in the Sentinels on the ground with the Royal Guard and the Dark Trooper, and then you got your ramp with your laser tech, your resupply, 3 copies of Traitorous, of course, and then your typical cards that you're seeing in like a Palp Green deck with Darth Vader, Maul, Reinforcement Walker, the 3 Choose Sides too, and 2 Devastator to kind of as your top end to close out the game. I think this is just you could tell that this list has been play tested a ton. It's just very smooth. Just looking at it, it's like 3 rows of cards, like everything makes sense. A lot of early stuff to gain life, early sentinels, both in space and on the ground. You have your ramp for mid range and control. You have your traitorous to deal with aggro, your sentinels to deal with aggro, and then you just start closing the game out and flipping the game in your favor with the traitorous and the choose sides, and then using Vader and Maul to deal with different things, whether it's a leader or a big threat on the ground. Just a very very good list. Even the early sentinel of the Gamorrean Retainer in the sideboard for more aggressive opponents. A couple Relentless for control, and the 3 Palps for turn are going to come in against mid range and control. This is another one that I really liked. I have playtested this some already. I loved the inclusion of TIE Dagger. It just makes a ton of sense in a Darth Vader deck. What I liked about this list was how quickly you could ramp up into Darth Vader and into your top end. And not playing a lot of restore effects, basically just Reinforcement Walker, but because you're ramping so quickly, you're able to find those top end cards consistently with Prepare for Takeoff, and actually just kind of overwhelm your opponent. You get to around that 20 damage mark, and then it's just like by that point, uh, typically you have ramped up with your price in your head, your resupply, your laser tech, or even your resupply carrier. Just a ton of ramp in this deck, and then you're just closing things out with your big boys on the bottom. So super good list, just the ramp version of Vader. So have some early units that can cause problems and set up knockouts for Vader. I did think it was interesting he wasn't playing Barrage in the main board, just bringing in a couple copies in the sideboard. But after playing the list, I could see why. Like a lot of your units really only have like 2 power. Your early units, like Disabling Fangfighter and Sunfighter, are your 2 units that have 3 power, and they're often going to be removed. Especially Sunfighter is going to be removed right away. So the chances of you hitting a barrage on curve are pretty low in a deck like this, or at least not for 5 damage. You might get lucky and hit him for 4. You do have Kylo's TIE Silencer as well, but I guess you just opted for more early removal with, the units, the Force Choke, the Open Fire, the TIE Dagger, and then you do have a couple Sentinels on the ground with the Pirate Battle Tank, which you can often smuggle out for 7 on the same turn that you flip Vader, which is nice too to have that smuggle effect in a deck like this. And then 3 Eager Escorts as just a early space removal for heavy space decks. Bringing the second copy of Relentless for this mid-range control. Same with Palp's Return. But your closers are basically Devastator, Devastator, Reinforcement Walker, which is just a lot of fun to play all those cards. So this is just a super fun list. I do think we might see some more Vader with the upcoming set too, like with those new bases where when you attack him with Force units, you get to do really cool Force things, and I think Vader might be a good leader for maybe like Blue, and actually being more of a unit focused deck potentially. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was another awesome list and just a lot of fun to play. All right, this next one was just a Admiral Piett Colossus deck. So it was nice to see that this deck won. It was a smaller tournament with only 16 players, but regardless, it was just nice to see this deck pop up as a champ. Um, 12 pieces of ramp in the main board. I liked their use, the variety of board wipes they had with the 3 barrage, the 1 turbo, and the 1 laser blast. Just kind of a little bit of everything, with barrage being the cheapest. And then a couple traders from the side, a couple vigilance for more restore effects. Just a very consistent list. I like the Admiral Piett unit as well, as a way to ambush in their space units. A couple Dr. Pershing for a little more card draw, and I liked the 2 Avenger and the 1 Annihilator. Seen a lot of decks do that lately. Instead of 3 Avengers, just adding in that 1 Annihilator, especially in a deck like this where you can cheat out Annihilator a little earlier. But just a good overall list. Thought it was worth mentioning because I have enjoyed Piett since the beginning, but just hasn't had the results that I think a lot of us were expecting it to have. And then this last one. So this is first place in a 55-player list, 55-player tournament. This was a really creative list. We definitely have not seen Admiral Ackbar have any results, so this was definitely a unique and a first time. I have tested this list a little bit since seeing this, and it just does a really good job of kind of slowing down your opponent's big threats, slowing them down with your sentinels and your ambush effects with like Blue Leader and Plo Koon. A little bit of life gain in the main with Sundari. Use Kira to take away key cards or make key cards more expensive, and then you can also use like your waylay effects. They're playing 2 waylay, 2 spare the target, 1 on the side, as a way to just bounce things that are big. You're using your exhaust effects of Leia and Grogu, and Admiral Ackbar for a lot of big threats, things that have Chewbacca attached that would otherwise not be able to be touched. I liked the wedge as a way to like exhaust your own. So as you're exhausting your own sentinels, and you can create your own X-wing army, and then you can use wedge to pump up your vehicles as a way to close out the game, which is cool. And then one of the best things about this list, I thought, was to choose sides, because you're creating you have a bunch of weak things, and then you're just slowing things down enough to get to that 7 resource turn where you have U-wing and choose sides to choose from. And then choose sides is a way to just take their big threat and trade it for a U-wing token or one of your weaker units, and just kind of flip the game script in your favor. So you could tell, like, this is a list that's been tested a lot. Home 1, of course, I thought that was great to play 3 as a way to just give everything restore against those more aggressive opponents as well, and a way to bring things back. So just a really creative list. Definitely a fun one. Sweet to see Ackbar win a tournament and actually have some results at all, because we've not seen Ackbar do that. So yeah, I mean that was some interesting lists I've seen from the past couple of weeks. Definitely let me know some lists that you guys are playing that are interesting. I think the meta is just in a really healthy spot, and we're seeing a lot more creativity come from different players because of where things are at, and that's just a sign of a healthy meta, right? Like when you keep seeing new things pop up every week that are winning, it just shows that we're in a really good balanced spot. Nothing is too strong to overtake the meta as Django was before. So just in a really good spot, but definitely let me know some cool lists you guys are playing. I always love to hear about new creativity. The next set is sweet. I'm going to keep doing some more videos about that. I love the next set. I've been waiting for that set since this game came out. The next one I think I'm going to be working on is Qui-Gon Jinn. So we'll get into that here in a few days. But as always, y'all have a good one, and peace out.